going on? It's the RapNerd, and I am back with another segment of Off the Shelf. I know it's been a while since the last one. Life has been pretty hectic, but I'm so happy to bring this segment back. And moving forward, I will return to dropping one of these every month. But today, we are here to talk about The Mummy and celebrate the anniversary of its initial release back in 1999. If you're new to the segment, what I do here is first give my experience on my first watch, then I talk about why I love the movie so much, and then lastly I go over the physical media that I have for the film. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So I really adore this film. It's in my top 10 movies of all time. I watched this thing a numerous amount of times that I can't even count. So first, to start off, I was not able to catch this movie in theaters. That being said, my introduction to this movie was Blockbuster. We had a routine growing up. Every Friday, we would get out of school, mom would come pick us up from daycare, and we would go straight to Blockbuster from there to see what's new in the store. And we would, have a variation per Friday. One Friday we would get movies, other Friday we would get video games to rent. So this Friday we walk into Blockbuster and they had all the new releases at the front. And I'm not sure if I saw it and thought it was cool or my dad saw it and wanted to see it, because he's a big movie guy and he's kind of who this love for the art form passed down to. So long story short, rented the movie, went home, ate dinner, got washed up and all of that, because movies were always the event. We would make sure we knock out everything before that. So sat down, threw this joint on, cut the lights off, and my life was changed ever since. And I absolutely adored this joint from that point on. And however long after that initial watch, I started playing the movie on TV. Back then, I'm about to age myself here, the only way that you could know what was coming on TV is if you got the TV guide that came with the Sunday paper. Yes, it was a big paper-like booklet that had all of the listings of what was going to come on throughout the entire week. So you could either check that, or there was this TV Guide channel, which was just a channel dedicated to showing what was on within the hour. So you would have like an advertisement in the corner, and you would just have these bars scrolling down showing the different channels, starting from 1 to, I believe it might have been 60 something. It was for basic cable, and it would show what was going to be coming on, like I said, within the hour. And I would go there, check to see what's on, and anytime I saw The Mummy listed there, I automatically changed it. If I saw The Mummy was coming on in 30 minutes, I would automatically change it to that channel and watched it every time it was on TV. That's how much I loved it. I even got nice with the VCR and recorded a copy for myself to own on VHS. Even dating until recently, I don't have cable anymore, but when it would come on cable in the last few years, I would put it on there and watch it, even though I own the movie. There are many reasons as to why I love this movie, and one of the big reasons is this was my first Odyssey. The definition of like the word Odyssey is like a long, eventful adventure, I believe. And this movie was that. Of course, Jurassic Park kind of fits in there too, because it's an adventure and it's a journey, but this one was on like a mythological scale, and it feels a lot more mystical and historic just because of the time it takes place during and all of the supernatural things that come with it. So this movie is a nice combination of action and horror, and I've always been into both of those heavily, even as a kid, because this movie is a healthy mix of both of them. As the story builds, there's this eerie nature of surrounding Hemotep himself. It even opens with this ideology of returning from the dead to put the horror vibes on Front Street. And it just continues to build over and over and over again, to the point where when you're introduced to the mummy, it's a jump scare in itself. And then when the mummy is finally here, the type of things that he does to regenerate himself is straight out of a horror movie. He's eating people, for lack of better terms. And you get to see the aftermath of what he does to these people, and it is horrific. And once you get that first kill, you already know that this is going to happen a number of times. And now you're just waiting for this regeneration to happen, and it just keeps going up a notch each time Hemotep kills somebody. And even when he does get fully regenerated, he has a city full of zombie-like people who are willing to walk and do things in his name. And that one scene always sticks out to me when all of those people are like, Hemotep, Hemotep, Hemotep. So the horror vibes pulled me in immediately, and then just like I said, the perfect balance of having action in this film is just as present. There's a whole lot of gunslinging, sword using, fisticuff, all kind of action that you could want in a story like this. That makes for a drastically entertaining ride. One of my favorite sequences is the scene on the boat when they're going to Hamunaptra and you have these bandits who board the boat to look for the key to the Book of Death. It's a great action scene that's extremely engaging, and it still pulls me into this day of how well crafted it is. There is enough action in this film for any enthusiast of the genre to sink their teeth in. And besides those two elements of horror and action, I just think that it's the perfect blend of what an action adventure Odyssey type movie should be, because it is extremely fun and it has a lot of humor in it, and it's all thanks to the cast that we are introduced to. I think Brendan Fraser playing O'Connell was the perfect role for him. Like, to this day, whenever I see him, Rick O'Connell is the first person I think of. The same with Rachel Wise. Whenever I see her, she's forever Evie to me. And the same with the brother, I forgot what his real name is, but he's always going to be Jonathan. And I just love how this film kind of works with the three of them as like this tandem, and I love how Jonathan is kind of always the third wheel to the situation. He just rolls with Evie and O'Connell because he's there. You can tell that he's one of those brothers that really doesn't have much going on for himself, and he's kind of a weasel at the same time, and he's an opportunist in whatever way he can be. He knows his sister being a librarian seeking information, he uses that as a way to like look for treasure and these type of things. And I really just love their dynamic, and especially his dynamic with Rick, who sees him for who he is, and his sister kind of just tries to look past that and look at him just as from a brotherly standpoint. And then as the story continues, you have another character that gets thrown in, played by, I believe his name is Adid Fair, and if I'm butchering that, you gotta excuse me. I respect him highly because he's in a lot of movies that I love, but he plays Ardith Bey. He is a Medjay warrior who finds his way into, the trio's lives as they're all going to Hamunaptra. And unlike the rest of them, who have kind of these goofy qualities, he adds that deathly serious energy to the group that allows different type of dynamics and character types to bump off each other to keep things interesting. Because you have Jonathan, who's the weasel, you have Evie, who's the smarty pants, and then you have Rick O'Connell, who's the Americano action hero. So when you throw in artists into the group, it adds a really nice balance to him being serious and not being taken for humor's sake. And speaking of characters, I have to bring up Arnold Vosloo, who plays Hemotep. Yet again, another guy that as soon as I see him, I'm always think of Hemotep. It doesn't matter what he does. And I've seen him in quite a bit of films, but still, Hemotep. I think he does a great job for the character of playing this menacing boss archetype. And of course, the glaring issue here is that he is a white guy, so you kind of have to jump past that, as well as the rest of the Egyptians that they show in the past. I know it's not accurate to the times of how they look, but the movie's fun. And that's the biggest thing about this film. This is a fun movie. It might be the movie I had the most fun with watching, just because of the pacing, the journey, the dialogue, the action, the scares. It is a full cooked meal that left me satisfied and continues to leave me satisfied to this day. And it's why it'll always be in my top 10, and nothing can ever top it for me. And granted, I'm not saying that this is the best one, because you have movies that came before, like Indiana Jones, which this film gets a lot from, but me just seeing it when I did, this is my Indiana Jones, and I'm pretty sure there are other folks who agree with me because I've seen it on Twitter and social media about how much of a following this movie has. Another thing that is a key component about the film is the score is fantastic. There are so many different beats of music throughout that take on a character of its own. Scenes that just have a wide, and you get these blaring horns that sweep as the characters travel to certain places, especially the scenes when they're in the desert and they're traveling to Hamunaptra, and you get these beautiful shots of these characters walking along the lines of the horizon with the sun-kissed silhouette, and this big score just and the score isn't always large. There are a lot of small bits in here that are able to carry you through the scene with just little notes and keys being played. And the last thing I'll say before moving on is just this movie is epic scale, and I feel like this is one of the reasons why the movie sits with so many people, because in 1999 this was one of the biggest movies to utilize VFX, and because of that, it took us places. The fact that they were able to create this sand face, you know, showcasing Imhotep's power was a huge thing. The mummy itself being CGI based was a huge thing. Those little scarabs being able to reduce people to bones was a big. The priests that Imhotep brought back were all CGI. There is a whole bunch of CGI work, and you gotta think, for 1999 to see this on the screen was nothing short of amazing. And honestly, if I'm being real, it is dated, but I don't mind it. And I don't know if it's just because it's my bias because I love the film, but it still doesn't look crazy as like some of the films of the time. The scale of this movie is incredible. The amount of ground it literally covers is gargantuous. The production design is giant, from the clothes to the sets to the action set pieces. Like, this is a movie. And I'm so grateful that this film exists and was able to take my imagination for a run when I saw it. So to get into the physical media I just purchased this year, and I was so happy to have it because it's a steelbook and it just fits so perfectly with the movie, and that is the Book of the Dead Mummy Collection. And this has all 3 movies in it, I have to say that, but I just really love this design right here, and I've ran through it before, but I'll give you a look at it. So of course you have this component with the key that you can put in. It would be dope if this actually came with a key. I might look for that, or maybe somebody will release a different version, because this movie is definitely needed for a 4K steelbook. Even though 4K exists, there's no 4K steelbook, I don't think. But turn it around, it's the back. Open it up, and you have the entire Book of the Dead. This is just a Blu-ray too, it's not a 4K. I'll upgrade once they make something worth upgrading. I'm actually tripping, this is all 4 movies. And what's cool about the inside is it has something from each movie. So this is that pyramid scene that I was talking about that is epic and was playing on every single trailer. And somewhere down here you have Anubis here. And then here the dragons is the 3rd one. I don't really care for that one that much. I do want to give it another shot though. I know when I first saw it, I was a bit like, because they just kind of ruin stuff. I mean, Alex the son now has an American accent, when in the 2nd movie he had a British accent, and I'm like, it just made me upset. And then Rachel was not actually in the 3rd one, so that kind of ticked me off as well. And somewhere hiding in here is the Scorpion King. I can't really see it at this very moment, but all 3 of them right there. Just a fantastic steelbook design. So that is the copy of the movie that I own, and I'm so happy to have this. If you look now, it might still be on Amazon. When I bought this thing, it was only $25. So go ahead and look if you are a fan of these movies and don't mind having them all before they try to resell them for a crazy amount, because resellers are going bananas. So we have come to an end of this segment. Let me know in the comments what you think about The Mummy in general. Are you a fan of the movie? And then let me know what your favorite in the franchise is. Mine is still the first one, even though I love all of them except the very last one with the Dragon Empire. And do you want them to reboot it? That was something that I saw recently. Brendan was talking in an interview that if they asked him to reboot it, would he do it? He said, hell yeah, because the movies were so fun to shoot. So I would be open if they can get the original cast back and it was a story that made sense. I don't know where they would go, but I mean, I'm such a fan of the franchise that I would give it a shot. And as I mentioned, I'm going to get back to doing one of these per month. So be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. And if you already are subscribed, thank you. And until next time, peace. RapNerd Productions, no capping, that's word to mommy. Instead of banking on it, now rapping is just a hobby.